was ashamed of this, just like that girl who was ashamed when she was in Iona College to let people know that she was lacking and without and was from the projects. But what I realize now when it comes to my dreams and my vision, that's what has given me my superpower of activation and never giving up and pushing forward. If I had things laid out for me, would I be so ambitious and so driven? Maybe, maybe not. We don't pick our dreams choose us. It's just a matter of tapping in to say, am I willing to do the work for the things that I desire? They have no excuse to give me on why they can't succeed against the odds.
Hey, this is Raina Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success. Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 134 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today, our guest is Lucinda Cross. She is the Chief Activator, CEO of Activate Worldwide, and the founder of Activate Your Life 501c3. And what I loved about talking to Lucinda today was just about her story from going from prison to platform and how you can succeed against the odds. At 19 years old, Lucinda never thought that she would end up in federal prison, but she did, and she tells her story of really working through that time in her life and coming out on top despite the odds against her. And I know that you guys are going to love this episode because Lucinda's story is one that I think we all need to hear because we can all learn from it. Sometimes one decision can change our entire lives, but even so, we have the resiliency and we have the power to not make it end our life. As always, show notes are available at dreamsanddrive.com. Make sure that you are subscribed wherever you're listening so that you get updates every time we have a new episode. And make sure you're following us on social. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And keep on sharing episodes, you guys. I love it so much when I see you guys sharing via Instagram stories, Twitter, or Facebook. So keep it up. I appreciate it so much. And we do have a giveaway this week. This week, we are going to be working with Sweet Lawrence, which is a place and bake cookie dough company. So if you're somebody who loves healthy snacks, who loves sweets just like myself, then you are going to love this giveaway and this brand. Sweet Lawrence was founded by Lauren Brill, who after she beat cancer, she realized that she had to pay attention to what she put into her body. So on a mission, she went out to figure out how to create healthy cookies. So we are going to be giving away 4 coupons to our lucky dream drivers so that you guys can go out and enjoy your own batch of Sweet Lawrence. I got the opportunity to taste these and I really love them. So hopefully you are as well. You know, I'm all for promoting brands that are built by dream drivers who have a mission, who have a story, who are out here doing good for the community. So to enter, go to dreamsanddrive.com/win. That's dreamsanddrive.com/win to enter to win a coupon to get a free Sweet Lawrence cookie batch. All right, let's get into the episode. Hi, Lucinda. Welcome to this episode of Dreams and Drive. I'm so excited to have you on today's show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited as well, Raina. Thank you for having me here.
No problem. And, you know, we have to big up Elaine Fluker of the Support is Sexy podcast who made this connection happen. I'm always open to, you know, hearing what people who I've worked with in the past. I've been on Elaine's podcast and we have just been really good podcasting buddies. And when she recommended I talk to you, I was like, yes, okay, I will. And just hearing your story and our dream drivers will hear it as well. And I know they will be inspired. But let us start where I like to start all our interviews, is going back in time. What do you think was inspiring you as a young child? If I had to say, you know, what were you like as a, let's say, 10-year-old kid? How would you describe yourself?
I was very creative, always working on creating stuff. I was trying to sew Barbie doll clothes with the needle and thread. Mm-hmm. Very creative. You couldn't tell me I wasn't a unicorn or a mermaid.
So you were always into something, always imagining stuff?
Always imagining stuff, always creating stuff, always trying to find a way to dazzle something up or make my own creation.
Did you have any imaginary friends? And I say that just because you talking about that made me remember when I was younger, I had, and you cannot tell me she was not real because she was real. Emily was real, and me and Emily did everything together. And my parents, like, I had like a little baby car seat thing that I would put her in, and she wasn't there, but she was there. You know what I mean? Like, my parents, they could not get rid of Emily because she was so real for me.
My gosh, I wish I had, I had 3 small brothers, so I didn't even have time to, I wish I could imagine someone. I had 3 small brothers, there's tons of cousins, but they were always around and I'm the oldest. So if I could make them imaginary, that would have been great at that time, but they were so real and so annoying at the time for me.
So what was the dream as a young child into an adolescent? What did you think the grown Lucinda was going to be?
At the very young age, I always wanted to be a newscaster. I was the weather girl, it was the person who was out on the streets and saying, hey, this is what's happening in the neighborhood, so I always wanted to do that. And then as I got older, I wanted to become a lawyer and always had this dream of walking down Wall Street on the cobblestone with my heels and briefcase, going to solve a case.
Well, that's a very specific vision, right? And I think it's so important, especially as later in your life, you are the queen of vision boards, right? You have this very specific vision as as an adolescent. When you were going into college, because you went to Iona College in upstate, it's not upstate, it's like New Rochelle, right? Mm-hmm. You went to Iona College. Was that same dream there during your freshman year of college?
Yes, I still wanted to pursue becoming a lawyer. It just shifted to now getting into entertainment law.
So let's talk about, and I think this is where your story really starts for everyone who doesn't really know of it yet, is you go into college. What was that first year of college like for you before the story starts? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did you think college was going to be like?
I thought college was going to be sororities, fun, friends, just and what I've seen on TV, the college dorms and things like that. So I seen the vision of being a part of a sorority, and I always wanted to be either AKA or a Delta. Most of the women in my family are Delta, so I was like, oh, I'm going to be an AKA. But
you're going to be the rebellion? You were going to be the rebel?
Yeah. I wanted to rebel. Like, listen, we're better. But I just thought it was going to be like, what's that show on TV with, what is her name? Whitley? You're probably young.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Is that the one with, oh my God, I should know this. With what's her name? Lisa?
Yes, I should have did it because now it's not going to leave us.
And then she had the boyfriend and they were always... Oh wait, let me just Google it real quick because I'm right here. Whitley Black Show 90s. Let's see what comes up. It's gonna come up. Okay, a different world.
A different world. There you go. Absolutely. So I was like, yeah, that's it. That's me. I can't wait.
So did it happen like that?
Absolutely not. It was a different outlook. For me, one, there was no sororities. To the campus grounds. At that time, Iona's fairly new. Now extremely large campus, beautiful. But at that time, it was really small, predominantly white, and very middle class, upper class kids driving to school. Not too many brownies there. At the time. And like I said, it wasn't community based. I felt like an outcast. I felt like I didn't belong.
And you were still living at home at this point.
Yeah, I was and at this time I'm living in the projects. So most of these kids, lived in houses, they lived in houses, they lived in the suburbs, and I'm coming from the projects.
Was this your first time? Because I want to say my big culture shock was middle school, because I grew up in, I grew up in Orange, New Jersey, which I would describe as like a urban suburb. It's like a suburb of North New Jersey, but it's still not that good. You know what I mean? And so I went to a private middle school. So middle school years for me was a complete shock, being like going from not seeing anyone who didn't look like me to being one of few. And was college a culture shock for you in that way? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I wasn't even around white people.
Okay.
I wasn't around anybody that, it was very few and very few. So coming from where I was from, in Gun Hill Projects in the Bronx, New York, you didn't see any white people. The only white people I was around was teachers. So for me, it was like, whoa, okay. How is this going to work?
How would you describe your spirit at that time? Like that inner drive within you, that your first year of college?
Disappointed, broken. I lost my drive, ambition to move forward.
Why? Or like what caused that?
Because I just didn't feel like I belonged at that point. It was no encouragement as well. It was no encouragement. So it was just you had to try to fit in. So I came from a community base in that project setting. And even within my high school, I was never into being the popular girl or the one who had it all, So I was the cool girl, the funny girl, the comedian, the one everybody thought was going to be a stand-up comic. But for me, it was disappointing because I felt like I had to fight to belong mentally. The atmosphere was different, but when you leave that atmosphere and you listen to the conversations, there was no connectivity. It was no, I couldn't relate to any of their stories. They couldn't relate to any of my stories. So I just kept quiet and I kind of had to keep sheltered so that I didn't seem like in my head the poor girl. So that's the image I wanted to run away from, was the poor girl from the projects, the little black girl from the projects.
So you wanted to run away from this I guess this perspective or this way that you think people may have been viewing you, how you felt about yourself. Do you think that's what led you to make the decision that you made that kind of changed your life? And maybe lead us into that part of your college experience.
Yeah, for me, I said, what, I'm going to hang in there as much as I possibly can and make the best out of it. I was, working a part-time job at the movie theater. So I said, I'm going to make the best out of it and see what happens. I'm never one to quit. I'll always keep going to see how far I can go. And so that was my mindset. All right, you don't like it. You are in a complete shock. Keep going. And let's see where this takes you. And that's what I was thinking.
So tell us about the decision you made that really changed the next few years of your life.
Okay, so I was part-time at the movie theater, part-time babysitter. Part-time babysitter for someone who I looked at and looked up to say, oh gosh, she's got all the hottest stuff, all the hottest drug dealer boyfriends. She got all the hottest cars.
Boyfriends with the S?
Yeah, because it was from one to another.
Okay.
but she never was without, right?
Okay.
And so it was at different times, not at the same time. It wasn't like multiple men and, within a week, but okay, this is boyfriend for the next 2 months. He's the summer man. This is cuffing season for the winter. Okay. With me babysitting and being around that atmosphere, he asked her, he said, you think, Lucinda would want to take a trip to make some money? She's in school, right? And she said, yeah. She said, well, why don't you ask her? And she asked me, and she said that she would have him explain it further. And I said, sure, it sounds good. How much money could I make? What do I have to do? I don't have to hurt anybody. He's like, no. I said, okay. All right. And when I listened to the proposition to travel and pick up a suitcase and drop the suitcase off and pick up $10,000 on my way home, I said, oh, shoot.
You weren't scared? I would have been like, wait. What?
And you are so... I was scared, yes. Mm-hmm. But when... I convinced myself that I can make it work, and they convinced me as well.
And I'm assuming, just to clarify, this was a suitcase of illegal substances, drugs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I said yes, scared, not knowing, but they reassured me that it would be no problem. And I believed it because I wanted to believe it. And I knew it was up to me to take this risk. So I always share, I had all the right tools, for all the wrong reasons.
You went to Thailand. Oh, how many trips did you end up taking? Like how many times did you do this?
Let's see. Let me see. What did I tell the cops?
Okay, yes. Keep the story. I don't want to open up any
Let me see. What did I tell the feds?
Okay, you took several trips. You took more than one trip.
No,
okay.
In all seriousness, so I told, and they know how many I took. They was following me. So it was around 6 or 7.
Okay. And during this time, you came back, things were good. You had no idea that the feds were building a case against you, right?
I didn't know this case was going on for 2-3 years. And I came on the tail end of the case.
Wow. Tell us about the day that you had I don't know if it was a knock on your door, but the day that the feds came to your house and your life as you planned it, as you envisioned it, no longer was.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with the knock on the door, I was home in New York in the projects, getting ready to get up to bring my brothers to school. And this is after I had taken a trip. This is probably about maybe a month after I took the trip. So I'm sitting on some money now. I'm sitting on more than, because once I did that first trip for $10,000, it just increased.
And nobody knew, like your parents and your family didn't really know what you were sitting on. Okay.
They had no clue. I told them that I was modeling. So with the knock on the door and over 24 FBI agents at the door, at the window, outside, coming to pick me up. So with the knock on the door, it was over 24 FBI agents outside the house, outside my door, in the house, everywhere. They were all over the place because the case was large. And so they were assuming that I had all kinds of stuff. And maybe they didn't know what to expect, but they came down pretty hard for little old me at that time.
How old were you at this point?
19.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you ended up spending 2 years in jail while you were going through trial for this case, right?
Yes.
And during this time, like, what was going through your mind? Because, you went into college thinking that, you'd have this end goal of being an entertainment lawyer. And now your whole life literally changed by this one decision that you made. Like, how did you get through those years?
It was tough. One thing that I will say is that I had 28 co-defendants, and many of them still stayed there. Some of them were extradited back to their home. But with all of the co-defendants that I had, we created a sisterhood. I didn't know any of them, probably just one or two in passing, but we built a sisterhood, and that's what kept me up. Also, I was heavy into meditation. My one prayer was, God, just keep my mind. I don't know what I'm about to go through. I don't know what this is about, but just keep my mind. I don't want to lose my mind in this process. I honestly thought that I would be going home. This was my first offense, nonviolent. I'm 19 years old.
You were a baby still.
Yeah, exactly. I still was enrolled in college, although my report said withdrew for all classes, but I wasn't expecting, a sentence. I wasn't and I wasn't caught. They didn't catch me with anything. The whole case was a telephone conspiracy. So it goes to show you that, what you said, you have to be accountable for. And it wasn't even things that I said. I wasn't even on any recordings. This is all people saying things. Okay, Lucy is here. Lucy is there. The term, like I have a course now that I coined for 2018, secure the bag. That was the thing. Lucy secured the bag. Lucy's securing the bag.
They weren't even speaking in code?
Not at all.
Wow. I mean, but that was also, this is in the 90s, right? So that wasn't necessarily, because I'm thinking now, like, that's such a lingo that I feel like people would probably use something more, you were in Chicago at this point too, right?
Yes. Okay. The case was from Chicago. Mm-hmm.
So the day that the judge awarded you your final sentence, how did you feel knowing that you wouldn't be free?
Heartbroken. I was heartbroken. At this time, I already did 2 years. So I was looking at, okay, how am I going to do the rest of this time? And what is that going to look like? Because I've been sheltered with these ladies who were my co-defendants for all this time. So now to be placed in a bigger facility with more women, I didn't know what to expect. And I was hoping that, I could do that time home. I was hoping that I can do that on house arrest or something. I wasn't a threat, but they felt that I was.
Why did they feel like that? It wasn't like...
Because throughout the process of my traveling, I was able to obtain in my own name, with my own face, several different passports with my name. So after you use one passport, I would get another one so that each passport isn't, you don't see all of these stamps. You don't see, well, why did you go to Thailand? 5 times in 2 to 3 months, so with that, they felt that I had access. And because of the severity of the case, because of the cartel had access to all kinds of documents and everything, they just wasn't sure. They wasn't sure.
At this point, because the thing that I'm thinking about, and I don't know why my mind keeps going back to them, did you ever feel anger towards the original people who told you about this, like the woman who you looked up to and her boyfriend?
Absolutely. I was angry towards her for many years. I would say even after being, 10 years of me being home and seeing, what's going on social media, I was angry, wow. I just was upset. Why would you choose me? When I look back at it, I say, if it wasn't me, who else would it have been, and would they have made it out? A lot of women don't make it home in those situations. They get left. They get incarcerated to do hard time in Thailand. They end up having to fight several years just to get extradited to the States. It's brutal.
One of the things that, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about now, how before we were talking about how I don't have a direct experience, but when I was in college, I went to Princeton and I was part of a program called the PD Green Prisoner Assistance Program. So with that program, I, every Friday without fail, I would go into our local New Jersey prisons and, I would, help guys who were getting their GEDs, with their high school diplomas or GEDs, do tutoring lessons. So I did that all 4 years, while I was in school. And I tell you, Lucinda, that was probably, when I say, cause I was 18 when I started, 18 and 22 when I graduated, just seeing what it's like inside of our U.S. prison system firsthand. It was just one of those experiences that I'm like, if people knew what was really going on inside, right? And I say regardless of race, like if you were black and you knew, if you were white and you knew, like no matter what, if you just if people really, really knew how it was to be inside of these institutions, and I wasn't even an inmate, right? Like I wasn't necessarily, like I could leave and go. It was one of these things that it was the biggest eye-opening experience for me during my college experience. And it wasn't I didn't go to a female institution, so I don't necessarily know how it was in there in New Jersey. But the male, it was heartbreaking. And that was only in the education wing, right? It was just like, and the thing for me was because I'm from New Jersey, I would see people that I grew up with. And that was even harder, right? And I had to pretend I didn't know them, because if they knew that I knew people, I couldn't tutor in that facility. And I didn't want to have to go to the ones that were like really far away, because that was just too much. And I was still, a student. So I had to pretend like I didn't know people. And that was even harder for me, right? Like I known this guy since I was a little kid, and now here I am walking past him and have to tell him like, shh, it's like one of those. I can only imagine what it must have been like for you those 2 years,
It's something that you I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy,
Mm.
but it's something that you won't know how to cope until you're in that situation.
Yeah.
I couldn't even in my wildest couldn't even think of when, I would be in the projects and hear, oh, so and so just came home, or so and so just came home from, prison, or this and that. I had no clue what they were going through at all. And so the room, the cell, the treatment, the staff, it's all horrible.
And I remember this one teacher, and I said, this is a teacher saying this to me, because I was working with younger, so I was in a youth facility, but in New Jersey, youth just means 18 to 25. So these were all young guys. And one of the teachers once told me, she was like, I've seen these guys, they were in juvenile detention when I was working with them in juvenile. God. Right? And this one guy, they would ask me things like, what's the weather like outside? Like, I haven't been.
My God.
Or they would say, this one guy, he had to be 20, and he told me he had a 6-year-old daughter at home. And I was just like, wow. Like, I always wondered. I'm from Orange, New Jersey, which is not the best place in New Jersey, but because, I was in the Gifted Talented program, I was able to get out and have a different track from other people in my community. I always wonder, I could have very much been down a different road, right? And I feel like these people are sometimes forgotten. Whether it is they committed a violent crime or nonviolent crime, they were still young, right? Most of them, their situations, not saying that they were set up for this, but it's like, what if they had a different opportunity, right? That's just something that I've always wondered. And then when I went to college, or after college, I ended up, and I don't know if you've heard of this program. Have you ever heard of the Vera Institute of Justice in New York City?
No.
Okay,
I'm going to check it out.
They have a program. I did a fellowship with them for a year following college called the Center on Sentencing and Corrections. And so the program I worked with was this program called Pathways, which was building college programs for people in prison. So we worked with, not federal prisons, but state prisons in New Jersey, Detroit, New Jersey, Michigan, and North Carolina. And I got the chance to go to a female prison in North Carolina. And it was just it was a bit different because I think it was a camp setup versus, so it was more like I hate to equate it, but it's more like a college. Yeah.
That's why you couldn't wait. The women can't wait to get sentenced, to find out what your sentence is, and then 2, to get moved to a camp. Because once you get moved to the camp, it's better. It's a breather.
What was the toughest thing or the toughest challenge you had to navigate during those 2 years where you were actually in federal prison?
One, missing family. That was big. Missing my family and not having any access to any friends. No friends. Nobody sending letters. Nobody communicating but my mother, my grandmother, and my father. That, I think, was the hardest thing, is not having access to friends and family outside of your immediate family. So that was a big challenge. That communication, that letter, that piece of mail is everything. You savor one letter. My mother would write 4-page, 5-page letters. I would savor that letter and break it down. I'm going to read half of it for breakfast. I'm going to read the other half for lunch. You savor it like, oh, I can't wait before I go to bed. I'm going to read the rest of it, because you still are looking for some outside. You smell the paper. You're looking for what is life like outside of here.
Our guest, one of our guests, episode 86, and I encourage you, I'm going to send you the link to this one. Her name is Sarah Vega. She told me her story from the other side. She was a corrections officer in a New Jersey prison, but she had a very, very terrible experience where she just told me that a lot of people, sometimes correction officer jobs are very coveted, especially in, urban communities. They have benefits. They're stable. You can rise in ranks pretty easily. And she just told her story of how, she went through hell as a corrections officer, and just a lot of the things that the corruption that can happen behind the walls with people who are supposed to protect you, but they don't always have your best interest in mind. Did you ever feel like the officers or people who were supposed to protect you in that realm were also adding to a lot of the trauma and pain that you experienced while behind in prison?
Absolutely. I'm documenting some of that stuff, some of the stuff now, but there was a lot of abuse, a lot of abuse from those who are supposed to protect, from counselors to support to correctional officers taking advantage. Yep.
And I feel like, especially now, when you think of female facilities, like the first thing that comes to mind, I think there's like that orange is the new black, right? Like people think that everything is like that. And I feel like there's this, I feel like especially, I'm sorry, I'm getting so scatterbrained because I'm getting so like, this is something,
fine.
I'm very like emotional when it comes to this kind of stuff, just because I think it's just something that we don't know enough about and we don't talk about it enough, because it's so easy to just say, put that person in jail. And then we don't even want to address anything that happens once they're in there and once they come out. And especially recidivism is something that I just think is, oh girl, I could talk about this stuff forever.
And I love your passion behind it, and definitely have to talk behind the scenes, because there's some things I would love for you to be involved in, especially with my nonprofit and things that we're working on in terms of putting together transitional home and transitional facility. I definitely want you on board.
So many of us, and I think we don't get to tell these stories enough, is that especially as a Black female from an urban environment, our lives are shaped around the pain or the loss that people feel from being affected by the penal system. And I just think it's something that we need to, like, I don't know exactly how to fix it.
Dreams die. There's so many dreams that have died in the graveyard that never were pursued. And then there's dreams that are inside the walls of those who cannot drive their dreams because of their situation. So, I mean, everything that you're mentioning in terms of the passion, look where my dream has taken me from being in the projects. Matter of fact, from being this young girl who was creative, who was, put her mind to something and make it happen. I mean, to sewing, to making things out of nothing. That was one of, if I could say that I was a master at something as a young child, was making something out of nothing. And then going from that girl who was a mermaid to college, into now looking at an opportunity that she thought was an opportunity. Look where my dream has driven me so many different places to where we're at now. And when I look at it and I say, man, these things has happened, and it's a part of my life. And it's a story I never, ever, ever wanted to share, ever. I started sharing my story in 2013. And then it really got exposed in 2015 with the Essence feature. But I never wanted to share this. I was ashamed of this, just like that girl who was ashamed when she was in Iona College to let people know that she was lacking and without and was from the projects. I was ashamed to tell people about my story. But what I realize now when it comes to my dreams and my vision is that that's what makes me, that's what has given me my superpower of activation and never giving up and pushing forward. If I had things laid out for me, would I be so ambitious and so driven? Maybe, maybe not. But there's no way that I can give any excuse in my life or allow anyone in my family, my children, they have no excuse to give me on why they can't succeed against the odds. I don't care what they go through. And to be able to change that. Here's the thing. My biological father was, and this was never shared. My biological father was a gang leader back in the days, back in the 70s. and he wasn't a part of my life. I was raised by my stepfather, who was an amazing man, is an amazing man, from the Army. And so I go from that, that lifestyle of my father. He was incarcerated. He was a drug dealer. He was the gang leader. He was, you know what I'm saying? So coming from that in the bloodline. And then my mother, unstable because my grandmother had so many children. So my mother was the youngest. My grandmother was 50 years old when she had my mother. What do you think she is doing with a young? So my mother ran amok and did what she did. She was running the streets, hanging out where she wanted to go. And so they birthed this young girl, which is me. And where is the stability and where's the structure? So what's in my DNA, what's in the bloodline is still something so great because of my past history. It was that push to rebel, go against the odds, that hustle, grind and street mentality. And that had to break in order for my children, to live the life that they need to live. And it broke. So at what point does a generational curse break? I'm here to be a part of the sacrifice for it to happen, because I know that I'm able to watch those things within my children and watch the tendencies and support them in those areas.
Like, we all have those moments in our life, and sometimes I feel like we don't know when those moments will come, right? And it's like, I sometimes struggle with this, where I feel like I don't feel like I've had like this. People have stories where like, I didn't eat. I was like poor growing up, and then I had like this moment. I always wonder, like, what's my moment? And some of us may not know that we're living the moment until we come out from it.
Exactly. Woo! Woo! That's powerful.
We're looking for the moment, and we don't realize that we're living that moment, but we just can't see it yet because we're in it. I did a panel event at Christina Brown, who's a blogger. She had a Power Day event, and I did a panel event, and this woman, she wrote me the sweetest like email ever. I said, you know what? I'm gonna call her, because she had her number in the signature of the email. Oh, so we had a conversation this morning, and the conversation just made me realize, like, you don't know, like, that one little thing you said to somebody. Like, all I said in the podcast that she listened to was, stop denying it when people are telling you you're great. And she said that hit her so much, because she had been denying something for so long, a gift within herself that she didn't even realize was there, but people had been telling her. And I just think that's something that we all like, stop thinking that your story doesn't matter. And that's just like, even if you feel like at this moment it doesn't matter, it really does. And you may not know how important it's going to be, whether it's for right now or in the future.
That's right. Ooh, that was good.
And one of the things, I just really admire about your story is because when you were released, you went into gear. Like, you built a 6-figure business, you raised a family, you were making things for yourself happen. What do you think was pushing you to make sure that you did not go back ever?
I had a plan, and most people, they don't put together a plan, right? They don't put together a plan that they'll really follow. And I put together this plan with all intentions to do the work. So I said, when I get out, I'm going to go sign myself up for school. I'm going to finish school. I'm also going to find a job, start working the job, whether I like it or not. I'm going to get a job. Then I'm going to work on my relationship with my mother and my family. I want them to feel like they can trust me. And so that was my goal. And with that, because I knew that I needed family support, I knew that I needed financial stability some kind of way. And I also knew that I needed to go back to school. Education was a key for me. One, just to be in a different atmosphere, and then to also sharpen my mind. That was part of my vision board, my journal back in those days. And I used that as a blueprint as to Lucinda, what's next? Okay, you accomplished this goal. Now what's next? And I was determined to knock those goals down, because there's so many, like I said, women that I left who had so many dreams and desires, and some had 10 more years to do. They had 15 years to do. And I said, you know what? I'm not wasting any more time. I realized that's something that I will never, ever get back.
What made you want to become an entrepreneur?
truly believe I always had the entrepreneurial spirit, because I would always dabble into things that was just out of, listen, I going against the grain. But I always would admire entrepreneurship and those that I seen, venture into it. And so when I started to get into entrepreneurship and realized that I could make money from creating marketing plans. And then I started connecting with and having conversations with the young lady at my job at the time. And she was like, you know what, let's partner up together. Let's start a company and let's start writing these proposals. She was good at writing business plans. I was good at the marketing side. And we was like, let's just do this for small business owners. And we started going to networking meetings and SBA meetings, and we realized what was a common thread with most entrepreneurs is they were missing the plan, and they didn't have time to put the plan together. So that's how it started.
What kind of things? I definitely do agree with, a lot of us don't have a plan. We have a vision, but especially for creatives like myself, for people who are in the lifestyle segment, having that actual concrete plan is important. So what steps or what things do you need to have in your plan in order to be able to execute long term?
One is that plan. What does the vision look like? Where are you going? Who are you serving? When you start out, you're not looking at that. For me, it was when I started running across entrepreneurs, they just wanted to make money. But in order to make money, you have to have a process and a system. What's your strategy? What's your intention? And what are you really passionate about? And so, one is to put together a plan and work backwards. What is the ultimate goal for you, for your business? Because you can create a business that feels like a job, or you can create a business that complements your lifestyle. So you have to on what you're creating. The second thing is to separate your passion from the profit, because you can be passionately poor or you can be passionately profitable. The difference is understanding that you are a business owner. So you have to charge what you're worth because you bring value to the table. Most entrepreneurs are fearful of charging. And that is one thing that can cut you back. And the third thing is to eliminate the competition by being your best, perfect your craft, make the most noise in your particular niche, in your audience. And you don't have to service everybody. Niche yourself. And that's what I did. I niched myself. My first business, which was Business in Progress with my partner, we worked behind the scenes for authors, coaches, and speakers. That's all we wanted to work with, authors, coaches, and speakers. We went from authors, coaches, and speakers to working for artists, musical artists, and sports people, NFL players and stuff like that. We were working on their foundations. Then we went right back to our niche because we realized these people have great profiles and it looks good to attach their name to what we're doing, but they're not paying.
Really? The ones who had the money weren't the ones who were...
Gosh, no, it was like, you know who I am. My name should carry weight. And they didn't. So let's go back to the hungry entrepreneurs who don't feel privileged because of who they are, or why they're popular. And so popularity didn't win our pockets at all. It didn't increase anything. So I would definitely say niche yourself is the last thing to think about. You don't have to service everyone, but be the hottest, the dopest, the baddest in the industry when they thought of authors, coaches, and speakers back then. We were killing it. We were killing it. Behind the scenes, we were creating some plans. They were executing. We started ghostwriting presentations for keynotes and everything. That's what helped me win in business.
What happened in 2013 to make you decide to share this part of yourself? Like, did you tell your business partner at the time about your past, or was it just something that you kept within your family circle?
I was going around speaking on stages. This is when, I started doing public speaking in 2009, 2010, I really got out there. But within those 3 years of training and coaching and speaking, I went from, doing a lot of training and coaching to now just being called upon to speak. I was telling these women, be your authentic self. speak your truth and stand in your power. That was my thing. Speak your truth and stand in your power. That was one of my keynote messages. Mm-hmm. But I sat back after prayer one day and God said, "You're not speaking your truth and standing in your power." And I didn't understand what that meant. And I was, after, just thinking about what my next book would be, my mentor was like, I finally told my mentor what my story, and he said, "Well, why don't you put it in a book?" And I was like, nah. And I tried to sugarcoat it, and I put it in a book called The Road to Redemption. And I said, I'll put it out there and see how it is. I was fearful of the high-end clients that I was working with, and losing them. And just also, I didn't like the ex-convict, ex-felon title. I didn't like that. I was Lucinda. My story at that time that I was using based on my experience was, now I'm a single mom. I'm making 6 figures in my business. I'm doing well for myself, and you can too. But there was a deeper story that connected to the people. If I'm telling other women to be vulnerable, speak their truth, stand in their power in order to change the communities in which we live, work, and serve, how can I say that without really accepting all of me?
Did you hear that Oprah speech, her Golden Globes?
Yeah.
That's exactly what she was saying too. Like, there's so much, we have so much power with our voices.
Yes.
And it's so important that we never feel ashamed for that. And, at the same time, it's a process, because I think when you're ready to tell your story, you'll be ready. Maybe if you had told it, 10 years prior, it might not have been the same outcome, right?
Right. I needed to get some leverage. God knows exactly what he's doing. His timing is perfect timing. And I needed to speak from a place of power and not pity. Don't pity me because of what I've gone through. I'm speaking from a place of power because look what I have done. Look what I was able to accomplish. Look where I was able to take myself from the gutter, from the prison to the platform. So for me, I needed to, without even knowing it, I needed to build that confidence in who I was so that I can speak with such conviction from the stage.
And you started to get a lot of press once you started telling your story. Like, who was on your team helping you? Or was this something that came organically and you were just navigating all the incoming responses and opportunities?
Oh, God. When you follow God's plan and you just listen and show up, he opened the doors. He was my PR person. He is my PR person. And so, he told me, he said, "You write the book, I'll make it a bestseller." And he did. And I took the book off the shelf. I said, oh my gosh, no way. It sounds crazy, right? But as I called myself taking the book off the shelf, that's when media started opening up. Wow. And it just didn't stop. And it was, everyone wanted to know, how did you do this? You don't look like a felon. You don't look like an ex-con. I said, what does that look like? You don't have they would say you don't have the residue of an ex-felon. And I said, well, what does that look like? Should I look like somebody that you would want to clutch your purse, hold your pearls tighter? Like that's not my crime. Like, so they were curious about the story and also amazed at how I was able to make a transition. So at that point I said, okay, this is going to reach so many. And the more I would share the story, the more women would open up about their own mental prisons, their own relationship prisons, their own professional prisons that they were putting themselves in, and they wanted out. And I realized at that point, my purpose is to grab the key and help to activate some of these visions that women are holding inside because of what they've gone through, been through, seen, and they need to know the time is now.
So was that when you decided to go into the vision board products and in creating a company based upon this?
The vision board process was always a part of me. Okay. I was always hosting the vision board parties way before The Secret was out. This was part of my mother was a psychology major, and creative visualization was one thing that she loved to do. And we were her guinea pigs. And so that's something that I learned at a young age, but and that's what helped me in my when I was in prison, and to keep my mind together. But when people started saying, well, I want access to the vision board kit, and actually I was creating it for those who are in halfway houses, and someone said, well, why don't you could put these things in the store? You can package these things up. And I'm like, no way, get out. And lo and behold, yeah, they're now in Walmart.
That is so amazing. It's just so inspiring, right? It's just, I'm just over here smiling. I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like I'm all over the place with this interview. I just have so much like energy flowing through me right now. Cause I think that these are the type of stories that we need to hear more of, because I think people think when, a bad decision, right? We're all human. There are times when we're not always going to get it right. And sometimes we try to get everything right that we don't end up actually living. And although this is something that you never want to happen to you again, it's definitely something you learn from, and you did not let it stop you.
That's right.
Because you could have came out, and a lot of people come out and they never come back. And they can be out. And I say that in the sense of, I know people who have been out of prison, but they're still there. Yep.
A lot. They're institutionalized, and the recidivism rate for women is high. The coming out, going
even
back
for
in.
nonviolent crimes, right?
For nonviolent crimes, going out, coming, especially for nonviolent crimes, because it's here in prison. You can either become a better criminal or a better citizen. The how to and what to do and what not to do and how to make it better the next time. How to hustle harder, how to hustle better, connects. That's all in there. So you can either be a better citizen or a better criminal. It's up to you. A lot of people are institutionalized and they don't shake it off. It's not easy, but my prayer was, God, please keep my mind. And that's all I can say. Anybody going through anything, if they're listening to this, when they listen to this, is whatever you're going through, just ask God to keep your mind. You will make it out. It seems like it's the worst. Like you said, it's moment from moment to moment, and know that this is just one moment in your life. That was a moment. It was a long moment, but it was a moment in my life because I wanted to speed up the process of success. And you can't. Not at all.
You shouldn't want to, because you know how they say, like, if you get something too quick, you won't know what to do with it, right?
Yeah, and you miss out. You miss out on you miss out on smelling the roses. You miss out on all the benefits. Can't do it. Shouldn't do it. Don't do it.
It's like when you're going on a long distance ride, right? Like there's some fun in going on a road trip. But imagine if you could just press a button and you already arrived. Why even have a car? Why even pack your cooler? Why even, there's something about that journey that I think we need to stop fearing. Because once you embrace the journey, you'll be able to really get the lessons you're supposed to get from it.
That's right.
So one thing I want to ask you is, because this is something that I know I struggle with, and a lot of people may be struggling with this too, is how do you deal with naysayers? People who may have said, oh, she's a convict, she shouldn't be, were there people along the journey who tried to bring you down? And if so, how did you make sure to stay focused and to not let them affect you permanently?
I'm so busy doing me, and this is no lie. I'm so busy doing me that I don't even pay attention. I wouldn't even know. My friends would say, man, you wouldn't even know until somebody hit you with a Mack truck that they was out for you. And I'm like, right, because I'm so into what I need to do that I'm not even fazed by it. It's like, oh, really? You had a problem with me? Oh, why? Okay, well, anyway, let's move on. I detach from those things, and because I detached myself from those things a long time ago, it doesn't matter what they say. And have people said things, maybe not to my face. Did people say things about, when I started the business, did I lose clients? And that upset me when I came out with the story. People say, oh, I seen you on television. That was interesting. Let's close my account,
Really? Wow.
And so, that hurt, because it was affecting my bottom line, but you gotta I'm so past people. So ask them their opinions, their thoughts. And a lot of the people who talk are just always going to be talkers. And so I say, let me give them something to really talk about. You ain't seen nothing yet.
And along that line, says, as we wind down, I feel like there's so much that we could have said, but as you know, we're going to have a part 2 or something.
Yes.
Just talking about your vision boards and how you said they're now in Walmart. Like, how did you go from having this, from starting out, offering these at halfway houses and transitional houses to then having it at Walmart? Like, that's so amazing.
Oh my gosh, being a part of the show that was on BET and Centric called Queen Boss, and I'm thinking I'm there to compete and share my business, to pitch my business and my vision board kit. I was there to connect with the other women, and it was in the process of me sharing one of my goals for the year. This was last year. When Queen Boss came out, and sharing my goals just in conversation. And she said, well, I know somebody that you can, potentially talk to about your vision board kits to see if Walmart would carry them. And I said, okay, let's make it happen. And was I prepared? No. But I said, I'm going to get prepared. Bet you that. So that's how it happened. And the more you share it, especially when you're clear on what you want to see happen, when the more you share and the more clarity you have, the better people are, to help that they're able to help you.
And you know what? I just put a Instagram quote up this past week, but they can't copy your spirit, right? And I think a lot of times, a lot of us try to, we don't want to share because we think, oh, this person might take my idea. No, no one can do it like you. And I feel like don't let the fear of someone stealing something, unless you're really it's very, very so unique, or you don't have an NDA or something like that. You definitely shouldn't let that fear hold you back from possible opportunities, because you just talking to this person led you to this great opportunity, right? And what if you hadn't? What if you just didn't communicate with anyone there and just said, I'm only here for the show, right?
Exactly. And kept the competitive mindset. Here's the thing. There's nothing new underneath the sun. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new underneath the sun. Absolutely nothing. There's new inventions, but I guarantee you somebody said, oh, I want to create, and and the thought traveled because someone didn't take action. It went on to somebody else. You think God is not going to have the job done just because you want to procrastinate on it? No, but it's vision boards is nothing new. I was doing this inside of the system. I didn't know people were out there watching The Secret. I don't even know when The Secret came out, but I didn't know they were watching the movie and whatever they were talking about on there. I'm just doing me, but I didn't invent scissors and glue and glitter in the process, but I added my touch to it. I added my vision board process and my success to it. And that's what I infused. And I said, I'm going to put this together for people so they can have it all in one. Everybody's not going to go to a vision board party. And some people would love to have this. It's the simplest things. The things of God are simple. We complicate it.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. And on that note, as we can kind of end up, just because this is your expertise, what's the power of having or creating a vision board, and how do you go about what's the steps to making one? Especially now we're at the beginning of the year. Why do we need a vision board in 2018? Lucinda, tell us.
It is your goals in living color. That's it. It's your goals in living color. The thing that separates a collage that people just cut out pieces of a magazine and put it up and say, oh, I want this Ferrari. I want this big mansion. I want. A vision board is your desires. Those desires want you just as much as you want them. And so I truly believe that we don't pick our dreams choose us. And on that note, it's just a matter of tapping in to say, am I willing to do the work for the things that I desire? Because if you use the word want, you're going to stay wanting. There's a lot of things I wanted 5 years ago, and I'm still wanting them now. But the things that I desire, I'm really going to work towards those things because it's a connection to me. So your vision board, how you create it, you sit down, you figure out what is the one goal that I would love to see accomplished, and what are the steps that I need to take in order to get there? What does that look like? So if fitness is your thing, you can put love and life on your vision board, and a new career and debt free on your vision board. But then what is the steps? Those things also go on your vision board. What is the steps that you're going to take to make sure that you get debt free? What are the steps that you're going to take to make sure that you are managing your health better? And that's what I think most vision boards miss. So you grab yourself a board, piece of poster board, get yourself some magazines, some scriptures, whatever soothes you, play your music, grab your glass of wine, whatever your thing is, do it, and just get centered to say, man, what, and I'm going to use me, what does Lucinda desire? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's hard. I ask people in my workshops all the time, what are your desires? And they're like, my desires? I'm like, yeah, what are you? I don't, because most people are used to just taking what they're given.
And we feel shame for it, right? Like, I don't want to say, like, I want a luxury apartment on the 18th floor of a New York City high rise. Like, why should you ever want that right now? You know what I mean? Like, we have this shame with our own desires. And
that's
sad.
It is sad. It is sad, but we have to tap into the faith and the belief that we deserve the things that we desire. And when you put those things on your vision board and say, and you're strategic and you're giving yourself deadlines and dates to say, you know what, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by March. All right. What does that look like? Cut out a picture of someone who looks like they're working out. Cut out a picture of the gym that you desire to go to, how you're going to reward yourself. When I lose these 20 pounds, I'm going on the beach. I'm going to the beach. Well, what beach you're going to? Where, when, who you're going to be with. All of those things start to become a magnet and pull your desires closer to you, your goals closer to you. But it's all about putting those goals on the board and looking at it instead of having words and posts and things in your head and written down in a journal. What does it look like in color form? Mm-hmm. And create that. And I have a system for it. I mean, for your listeners, I have a freebie that they can grab as a template that helps them with creating that vision board. And it's actually a vision board template that they can download, they can print, they can post on it. It's lucindacross.com/freebie, and they'll have access to the vision board template. It's free. And it shows them how to slay these goals and make it happen.
And I will definitely link to that in our show notes as well, which you guys can get at dreamsanddrive.com. So Lucinda, last question, because I know you are a mother, right? And you are building legacy, right? You are building something that you can pass on to your children. You are setting an example for them. Like, what's the thing that you'd want to say? You have sons, right? All
I have sons and one daughter.
Okay,
so just like how children. I grew up. Yep.
Okay.
Three. Mm-hmm.
You have 3 children. What would you tell them personally? I want you to talk to your children right now. Like, if they feel like giving up, what's that thing you would tell them?
You don't have permission to give up. Basically, that's what I tell them. You don't have permission to give up. You have everything to gain at this point. You don't have permission to give up. That's just it. Sounds harsh, but they know you don't. You just don't. You don't have permission to give up. So you have no other choice but to keep pushing forward.
Thank you, Lucinda. Let's go into our lightning round, okay? I'm going to give you a prompt, and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to mind, all right?
Okay.
And this is sticking with our whole dreams and drive metaphor. The first word is park.
Rest.
Reverse.
You forgot something.
Neutral.
Relax.
Drive.
Go faster.
When you said you forgot something, I paused. I was like, wait, what comes after park? Did I say the wrong thing? I didn't realize.
Reverse. When I think of reverse, it's like, oh, did I forget something? Let me go back and go.
I was here thinking in my head, no, park, reverse, neutral. I was like, wait, what did I forget? Then I realized that, oh, wait, no, you were just answering the question. Okay, and if you want to be a dream driver, you have to have your keys to success. So, Lucinda, tell me 3 things that you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road.
A vision board. Oh, this is good. I want to give you so many. A vision board. They have to have in their toolkit, right?
Whatever, like what you need in your car in order to keep going on your drive. You need your vision board. What else? What would you put in the car first?
I would definitely put my vision board, my whole vision board kit. I would put in there.
Okay,
I need to create on the way. So I put my vision board kit in there. I would also put a towel because I'm about to put in some work, so I got to wipe the sweat. Seriously, so either my towel is used to wipe the sweat, put on the floor so I could pray. Either way, so it would be a towel. Sounds weird.
That's all right. That's unique. We all gonna remember that because nobody has ever said a towel.
Are you serious? Yeah, because I can see myself putting my towel down. Girl, you need to put your towel down. Start praying. Put your towel down. Wipe the sweat off your face. Whatever. And I always like to have something to lay things on. So I would definitely have a clean towel. And the last thing that I would put is a candle. I love candles. I love the light that the candle gives. I love that the peace the candle gives. I love candles. So if there's ever a dim moment, I can light my candle.
Thank you. And Lucinda, can you tell our dream drivers where they can find you online if they want to learn more about you, your company, and what you're doing?
Sure. They can go to lucindacross.com to find out about me, what I'm doing, where I'm going, and to follow me on Instagram. That's my favorite place to play. And that's Lucinda Cross as well.
Thank you so much, Lucinda. This has been such inspiration to me. And I know our dream drivers listening in as well have learned so much. And we just thank you for sharing your story and hope that you continue to do so, because there are so many women and men out here who need to hear it and who need to feel like they still have an opportunity to, you know how you had that childlike vision of being a lawyer and creating, and look at you now, right? Look at you now.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, so that's a wrap for episode 134 with Lucinda Cross. I hope that you enjoyed hearing her dream driving story as well as her keys to success. And if you loved today's episode, the best thing you could do is to share this with a friend. Whether you text it to someone, whether you share it on Instagram stories, Facebook, or Twitter, I would appreciate it. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on all those platforms, so make sure that you share it. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to our Dreams and Drive channel wherever you're listening, whether it be SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so that every time we have a new episode, you are notified. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. I appreciate it. It's a great way for, new people to learn about the show, and it also helps pushes our rankings up in Apple Podcasts. So to leave a review, just go into the app or go into iTunes and click how many stars you want to give us, and then click the little thing that says write a review. I would appreciate it so much. If you want today's show notes, just go to dreamsanddrive.com and click on episode 134. And remember, we are doing a giveaway with Sweet Lawrence, where dream drivers will be able to get a free batch of Sweet Lawrence place and bake cookie dough. So just go to dreamsanddrive.com/win. That's dreamsanddrive.com/win to enter. If you are not already part of our Facebook community, I am just so excited about all the things we have planned this year. And it's fun to get to talk to you guys one-on-one in there. So just come on over at dreamsanddrive.com/Facebook, or just search Dream Driver Mastermind the next time you are on Facebook. Oh yeah, and if you have questions that you want to submit for a Q&A, just email me, Raina@dreamsanddrive.com, or you can just send me an Instagram DM with your question. I want to do a Q&A episode coming up, but I don't have enough questions, so I would really appreciate it if you guys just sent me something, ask me something. I love responding to prompts. Although these solo episodes have been fun, it is even more fun to just respond directly to what you guys are asking. So go ahead, ask away. I love to talk, so I love to answer questions as well. Also, stay tuned because our next round of Dreams and Drive merchandise will be available. I am going to be doing an online shop this time. So for people who had difficulties ordering last time or who weren't able to get things in their size, please make sure that you are on the Facebook group, you're following us from social, or you're part of our Dreams and Drive online newsletter, which you can join at dreamsanddrive.com/join, because those places will hear about it first, and then we'll filter out to everybody else. So make sure you are connected on one of those channels. It'll probably go live by the next episode 135. All right, keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 135. Bye, guys.